Welcome to Remembering Legends, a place where Sandra honors the lives of unforgettable individuals whose legacy still speaks through time. Here, we look back on celebrated names from film, music, sports, and culture, remembering the passion and influence they shared with the world. Each tribute is a chance to celebrate their journey and keep their memory alive in a meaningful way. Wally Funk, the pioneering aviator who became the oldest woman to travel to space, died on July 8, 2026, at her home in Grapevine, Texas, at the age of 87. Her life was shaped by a determination to enter fields that had long been closed to women. A highly respected aviation safety instructor, Funk became part of the Mercury 13, a group of women who underwent astronaut testing in the early 1960s, even though they were ultimately not selected for NASA's astronaut corps. Decades later, she finally reached space herself. In July 2021, at the age of 82, Funk flew aboard Blue Origin's New Shepard spacecraft, surpassing John Glenn's record and becoming the oldest person to travel beyond Earth at that time. Her achievement was more than a personal milestone. It represented a lifetime of persistence and a reminder that some dreams can survive for decades before finally becoming reality. Musician Plaz Johnson, whose saxophone helped create one of the most recognizable sounds in movie history, died on July 15, 2026, at his home in Los Angeles at the age of 94. For many listeners, his name may not have been familiar, but his music certainly was. Johnson performed the unforgettable saxophone line in Henry Mancini's classic theme for the Pink Panther, giving the melody its smooth, playful character and helping turn it into an enduring piece of film music. Beyond that famous performance, Johnson built an impressive career as a solo recording artist and as one of the music industry's most respected session musicians. His talent allowed him to work across countless recordings, while quietly shaping the sound of an era. Before his musical career reached its height, Johnson also served as a U.S. Army veteran during the Korean War. His life leaves behind a remarkable musical legacy that will continue to be heard. Discretor. Michael Ankram, one of the familiar conservative figures of Britain's political landscape, has died at the age of 79 following a short illness. His family said he passed away peacefully in hospital, surrounded by those closest to him. Born Michael Andrew Foster Jude Kerr in London in 1945, he grew up with an aristocratic background, but went on to build a demanding career in public life. After studying at Ampleforth College, Christ Church, Oxford, and the University of Edinburgh, he worked as a Scottish advocate before entering Parliament. His political career included setbacks, comebacks, and several senior responsibilities. From 2001 to 2005, he served as deputy leader of the Conservative Party and also held prominent shadow cabinet positions, including foreign affairs and defense. During John Major's government, Ankram quietly contributed to Northern Ireland peace efforts, helping encourage dialogue during a difficult period. Colleagues remembered him for his calm manner, thoughtful approach, warmth, and enduring loyalty to those around him. Lillian Schwarz never seemed destined for a conventional artistic life. Born Lillian Feldman on July 13, 1927, in Cincinnati, she grew up as the youngest of 13 children in a Jewish immigrant family during the difficult years of the Great Depression. With limited resources, she found creativity wherever she could, drawing with chalk, shaping mud, and transforming ordinary scraps into something beautiful. She initially trained as a nurse, but her understanding of anatomy and biology later became an unexpected influence on her art. After marrying James Schwartz in 1946, she moved to post-Worth, Japan, where her world changed in profound ways. During her recovery from polio, she studied Japanese calligraphy, developing a lasting fascination with movement and form. Back in America, she explored sculpture, plastics, light, and eventually computers. At Bell Labs, she became a pioneering computer artist, creating innovative digital artwork and films decades before such technology became commonplace. Schwarz died at her Manhattan home at 97, with no official cause publicly disclosed. Singer Jim Gilstrap died on July 18, 2026, at the age of 79, leaving behind a musical legacy that reached far beyond his own recordings. Many television viewers knew his voice from the theme song of the beloved sitcom Good Times, while music fans may recognize him from the opening lines of Stevie Wonder's classic, "You Are the Sunshine of My Life." Gilstrap also stepped into the spotlight as a solo artist, earning recognition for his hit single, "Swing Your Daddy," which became one of the defining songs of his career. Beyond music, he carried another important chapter in his life: his service as a Vietnam War veteran in the U.S. Navy Reserve. His career reflected a rare combination of talent, discipline, and versatility, moving comfortably between studio sessions, television themes, and his own performances. With his passing, Jim Gilstrap is remembered not only for the songs he sang, but for the distinctive voice that became part of so many listeners' memories. Songwriter and producer Brian Potter died on June 30, 2026, at the age of 87, at a senior residential community in Granada Hills, California. In his later years, he lived with vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease, but his musical legacy remains much larger than the difficult final chapter of his life. Working closely with songwriting and production partner Dennis Lambert, Potter helped create songs that became part of the soundtrack of several generations. His work with the Four Tops included the top 10 hits Keeper of the Castle and Ain't No Woman Like the One I've Got, songs that showcased his ability to blend memorable melodies with powerful performances. Potter also co-wrote What You Gonna Do About It for Small Faces, It Only Takes a Minute for Tavares, and Rock and Roll Heaven for the Righteous Brothers. Through these collaborations, he left behind a body of work that continues to be remembered and celebrated. Julia Fiona Roberts was born on October 28, 1967, in Smyrna, Georgia, into a family where creativity, principle, and financial uncertainty existed side by side. Her parents, Walter Grady Roberts and Betty Lou Bredemus, were actors who believed strongly in making the arts accessible, including opening an acting school that welcomed children regardless of race during a period when segregation still shaped life in the American South. Their work reflected values that would remain important to Julia, but her childhood was not always peaceful. Her parents separated when she was young, and her father later died of throat cancer when Julia was only 10. His absence became one of the earliest deep losses of her life. She remembered his kindness and the comfort of his voice, including recordings he had made for his children. Those memories became precious reminders of a father she could no longer see. At school, Julia was shy and struggled with a stutter, but acting gradually gave her confidence. On stage, she could communicate emotions that were difficult to express in ordinary conversation. Her childhood did not provide a perfectly stable path, but it gave her empathy, adaptability, and an ability to understand emotional uncertainty. Those qualities would eventually become central to the performer the world came to know, learning to stand alone. At 17, Julia Roberts moved to New York with the determination to build an acting career, entering a city that offered opportunity but demanded persistence. She faced auditions, rejection, financial uncertainty, and the ordinary struggles of someone trying to establish herself without a guarantee of success. Modeling opportunities came and went, commercials provided small openings, and acting jobs were initially limited. Yet she kept returning to auditions. Her first television appearances included a role on Crime Story in 1987, followed by small film opportunities that gradually introduced her to a wider audience. Mystic Pizza in 1988 became an important early breakthrough, allowing audiences and critics to recognize a natural screen presence that was difficult to manufacture. Then came Steel Magnolias, where Julia played Shelby, a young woman facing serious personal challenges while surrounded by a strong community of women. Her performance brought her a Golden Globe and her first Academy Award nomination. Suddenly, the actress who had struggled to establish herself was becoming one of Hollywood's most promising young performers. What made her rise especially compelling was the sense that she had not arrived fully formed. She had developed through rejection, uncertainty, and hard work. Every small opportunity taught her something about the craft and about herself. Before the world celebrated her smile, Julia had already learned one of the most important lessons of her career. Progress often begins by simply refusing to stop. Pretty Woman. Everything changed when Julia Roberts became Vivian Ward in Pretty Woman. The film, released in 1990, transformed her career and created one of the most recognizable romantic comedy performances in modern cinema. The project itself had a complicated development, but Julia's performance gave the story warmth, humor, vulnerability, and a sense of emotional sincerity. Her chemistry with Richard Gere helped create a movie that audiences embraced around the world. Pretty Woman became a massive commercial success, earning hundreds of millions of dollars and turning Julia into an international star. Her smile, laugh, voice, and effortless screen presence became part of popular culture. Yet the success also created a new challenge. The public began forming an image of Julia that seemed larger than the individual woman. She became known as America's sweetheart, a label that sounded affectionate but could also create expectations about how she should behave, what kinds of roles she should accept, and what her personal life should look like. Fame arrived almost overnight, and with it came intense media attention. Relationships became headlines, clothing became news, every appearance was analyzed. Julia had spent years trying to get Hollywood to notice her, only to discover that being noticed could bring another kind of pressure. Vivian Ward found a happy ending within a movie, but Julia's real life was becoming increasingly complicated. She had reached the summit professionally, yet she was beginning to learn that extraordinary success could make ordinary privacy remarkably difficult to protect. Beyond the fairy tale after Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts could easily have spent the rest of her career repeating the formula that had made her famous. Instead, she continued choosing different kinds of stories. Sleeping with the Enemy allowed her to explore a darker, dramatic atmosphere, while Hook placed her in a fantastical world that demanded a different kind of performance. Dying Young gave her another opportunity to portray vulnerability and emotional complexity. Her personal life during these years also received enormous attention. Her engagement to Dylan McDermott became a subject of intense public interest, demonstrating how quickly a private relationship could become part of the entertainment news cycle. Julia's increasing fame meant that even ordinary moments could be interpreted by strangers. Yet professionally, she continued expanding. My Best Friend's Wedding showed that she could play an imperfect, sometimes selfish character without losing the audience's affection. Notting Hill paired her with Hugh Grant and explored the strange tension between celebrity and ordinary life, a theme that carried particular resonance given Julia's own experience. Runaway Bride reunited her with Richard Gere and revisited the romantic comedy while giving her character greater independence and complexity. These films became commercial successes, but their significance was broader. Julia was proving that her appeal did not depend on one particular character. She could be funny, vulnerable, ambitious, insecure, warm, and flawed. Her career was moving beyond the fairy tale created by Pretty Woman, even as audiences continued to associate her with the image that had made her famous, Erin Brockovich. In 2000, Julia Roberts took one of the most important steps of her career when she played Erin Brockovich. Unlike the polished romantic heroines that had defined much of her public image, Erin was outspoken, imperfect, determined, and unwilling to accept being dismissed. The role required Julia to strip away much of the glamorous image audiences associated with her and focus instead on character, conviction, and persistence. She portrayed a working mother who became involved in a major legal battle after discovering evidence of environmental contamination affecting a California community. The film became a major commercial and critical success, earning hundreds of millions of dollars worldwide. Julia's performance received the Academy Award for Best Actress, confirming that she could command a film through dramatic credibility rather than celebrity alone. Her acceptance speech famously emphasized how extraordinary the moment felt for someone who had come from a small town in Georgia. The victory was significant because it represented more than another successful film. It demonstrated that Julia could move beyond the romantic comedy image that had made her famous and still remain deeply connected with audiences. Erin Brockovich became a symbol of her artistic independence. She had reached a point where she no longer needed to prove that she could be a star. Instead, she could choose roles that reflected different aspects of human experience. The woman, once known primarily for her smile, was now equally recognized for determination, intelligence, and dramatic authority. The weight of fame's success brought Julia Roberts extraordinary professional freedom, but it also increased the pressure surrounding her private life. The more famous she became, the harder it was to separate the person from the public image. Her relationships were discussed in newspapers and magazines, while photographers followed her movements. The public often wanted to know who she was dating, where she was living, and what decisions she was making away from the camera. That attention could make even ordinary emotional experiences feel like public events. Julia had spent years working toward recognition, but recognition came with a cost. Privacy became increasingly difficult to maintain. Her personal relationships were sometimes interpreted through the expectations created by her films. Because audiences had fallen in love with her romantic characters, there was a tendency to imagine that her real life should follow similarly simple stories. Reality was much more complicated. Relationships can change, people can grow apart, and private decisions rarely fit neatly into headlines. Julia eventually became more protective of her personal boundaries, choosing carefully what she shared publicly. Professionally, she continued taking on projects that allowed her to move beyond familiar territory. She did not allow the pressure of maintaining a particular image to completely determine her choices. That balance became essential as her career developed. Julia's greatest challenge was no longer proving that she belonged in Hollywood. It was learning how to remain herself, while millions of people believed they already knew who she was. Fame had given her a platform, but protecting her humanity required boundaries, finding a new rhythm. As Julia Roberts entered the next stage of her career, her choices increasingly reflected maturity rather than the need to satisfy expectations. She continued appearing in major productions while gradually becoming more selective about how she spent her time. The world around her had changed dramatically since Pretty Woman. The entertainment industry was evolving, audiences were becoming more diverse in their tastes, and the old system of movie stardom was beginning to shift. Julia adapted without abandoning the qualities that had always made her distinctive. Her later work included films such as Ocean's 11, Mona Lisa Smile, Closer, and Eat, Pray, Love, each presenting a different version of her screen presence. She could participate in ensemble films, intimate dramas, historical stories, and large commercial productions. Eat, Pray, Love in particular connected with audiences through its themes of personal reinvention and searching for meaning after major life changes. Julia's own career had become an example of reinvention. She no longer needed to appear in every major release to remain relevant. Instead, she could step away, return when the right story appeared, and allow her work to speak for itself. Her priorities also evolved as family became an increasingly important part of her private life. Marriage, motherhood, and a desire for greater privacy influenced the rhythm of her career. The actress who once seemed to be everywhere gradually became more selective. That was not a retreat from Hollywood. It was a sign that she had learned to define success on her own terms. Love and family, Julia Roberts married cinematographer Daniel Motter in 2002, and their relationship became an important part of the quieter life she was building away from the most intense years of celebrity attention. Together, they eventually welcomed 3 children, twins Hazel and Phineas, and their younger son Henry. Motherhood introduced a different set of priorities into Julia's life. Instead of measuring time only through film schedules, premieres, and professional opportunities, she now had a family whose needs mattered just as much. Julia has generally maintained a strong boundary around her children's privacy, preferring to keep much of family life away from the public spotlight. That decision reflected a lesson she had learned throughout her own rise to fame. Constant attention can make ordinary life difficult. She wanted her children to experience as much normality as possible. Her marriage also provided a sense of partnership outside the entertainment spotlight, although both careers naturally involved demanding schedules. Julia's life had changed significantly from the years when she first arrived in New York with limited money and a dream. She was now financially secure, internationally recognized, and surrounded by opportunities. Yet her priorities had become more personal. Family gave her a reason to value time differently. Success was no longer simply about how many people watched her films or how much money they earned. It was also about having a life that existed beyond the screen. In that sense, adulthood brought Julia something fame never could: the freedom to decide what mattered when the cameras were no longer watching. Choosing her roles, Julia Roberts continued to challenge expectations through projects that did not always fit the image created by Pretty Woman. In August, Osage County, she played a deeply complicated daughter confronting family dysfunction, grief, and unresolved anger. The performance earned another Academy Award nomination and reminded audiences that her dramatic abilities had never been limited to the warmth of romantic comedy. She also appeared in films such as Money Monster, Wonder, and Ben is Back, demonstrating continued interest in stories centered on difficult relationships and moral questions. In Wonder, she played the mother of a child facing the challenges of growing up with a facial difference, bringing emotional warmth to a story about acceptance and family. Ben is Back placed her in the role of a mother confronting a difficult family crisis, requiring a more restrained and emotionally intense performance. These projects showed that Julia's career had entered a different phase. She was no longer chasing the validation that comes from becoming the biggest star in the room. She was choosing characters that interested her. That distinction is important because longevity in Hollywood often depends on the ability to evolve. Julia had already achieved enormous commercial success, so the question was no longer whether she could become famous. It was whether she could remain creatively engaged. Her choices suggested that she cared about that question more than maintaining a particular image. She allowed herself to become older, more serious, and more varied on-screen, proving that an actor's most interesting chapter can begin after the period when the public assumes the story is already complete. The private woman. For much of her career, Julia Roberts has maintained a careful distinction between her public and private identities. Audiences may recognize her immediately, but that does not mean they are entitled to every part of her life. Her decision to protect her family and limit certain aspects of public exposure has allowed her to maintain a degree of normality despite extraordinary fame. This boundary is especially meaningful because her career began before social media transformed celebrity culture. Julia experienced an era when magazine covers and television interviews shaped public perception, and she later entered a world where personal information could spread instantly. Through those changes, she remained relatively selective about what she shared. That restraint has sometimes created curiosity, but it has also helped preserve a sense of individuality. The public image of Julia Roberts has always been remarkably bright, but the woman behind it has experienced ordinary human emotions: grief, uncertainty, love, disappointment, responsibility, and change. Her life cannot be reduced to the phrase America's sweetheart because that label describes only one period of her career. She has become a mother, wife, producer, philanthropist, and actress whose interests have continued evolving. The enduring appeal of Julia Roberts comes partly from that contrast. She can appear glamorous at a premiere and completely ordinary in a family setting. She can play a romantic heroine one year and a deeply troubled character the next. Her career suggests that authenticity does not require revealing everything. Sometimes authenticity means deciding which parts of yourself belong to the public and which should remain yours. A career that endures. Julia Roberts has now spent decades in an industry that changes constantly. Styles change, technologies change, audiences change, and the definition of movie stardom changes with them. Yet her name remains recognizable because her career was never built around a single moment. Pretty Woman made her famous, but it was the decades of choices afterward that made her enduring. She moved from romantic comedies to serious dramas, from ensemble films to intimate character studies, and from leading roles to projects where the story mattered more than the size of her billing. Her career also demonstrated the economic power of female movie stars during a period when women were often paid less and given fewer opportunities to lead major productions. Her historic salary for Erin Brockovich became a landmark moment, signaling that a woman could command enormous compensation based on the commercial value she brought to a project. But financial milestones are only part of the story. Julia's lasting contribution is the emotional connection she established with audiences. Her performances often feel approachable, even when the characters themselves are complicated. She can make a laugh feel spontaneous, a moment of sadness feel intimate, and a determined expression feel powerful, without exaggeration. That natural quality became her signature. The world initially celebrated her for being America's sweetheart, but she eventually proved she did not need to remain inside that description. She could age, change, experiment, and step away without losing her place in cinematic history. What remains? The story of Julia Roberts is ultimately not a story about perfection. It is about adaptation. The little girl from Georgia who experienced family changes and the loss of her father could not have predicted the scale of the life waiting for her. The teenager who struggled with confidence eventually became one of the world's most recognizable actresses. The young woman who arrived in New York looking for opportunities encountered rejection before finding her breakthrough. Pretty Woman transformed her into a global star, while Erin Brockovich demonstrated that her talent extended far beyond romantic comedy. Along the way, she experienced the complications of relationships, the pressure of fame, and the responsibility of protecting a family while living under constant public attention. None of those experiences can be neatly separated from the person she became, but neither should they define her completely. Her legacy rests on more than hardship or triumph. It rests on the ability to continue changing without losing her sense of self. The smile that made audiences fall in love with her was never the whole story. Behind it was a woman who learned early that life can change unexpectedly, that loss can reshape a person, and that success does not eliminate vulnerability. What makes Julia Roberts remarkable is not that she escaped those realities. It is that she continued to work, love, raise a family, and choose new challenges while carrying them. After decades beneath the brightest lights in Hollywood, she remains compelling because she never stopped being human.